welcome.
Thank you, Lynn.
Can you in a few sentences introduce yourself and maybe talk a bit about what does Degritter do?
Okay. My name is Uku. I am from Tartu. This is the city we are sitting in right now. And I am the co-founder and CEO of the Degritter company, also founded in Tartu and presently operating in Tartu. And the company designs, manufactures and produces record cleaning machines. So these records are vinyl records, big black discs with music on them, old school stuff. And we are selling machines that clean these records. It's a home appliance made for the average living room. We put emphasis on design, customer support, and quality. And it's like the Apple of cleaning machines. Put it that way. Lots of anodized gray aluminum surfaces.
And how is the business going at the moment?
Business is going good. Today is an important day. Let's start from the beginning then. We are selling this machine to stores that sell them to private customers. So our end customer is strictly the record collector at home. We have over 100 stores all around the world that are selling this machine. Main markets, the US, Far East Asia, Europe, and then the rest is scattered all around the world. Sales are good. We are growing and growing with our quarterly revenues still. So last quarter was a new record for us, over 800K. Today is an important day because we raised our prices 10%. Yeah, so let's see what that brings on.
When did you last raise the prices?
Never. So exciting. So let's see what happens.
I know a little bit about your revenues and your numbers, and I was just curious, how did it feel when you started your company and then you first hit this 100K revenue, quarterly revenue? How did this feel compared to next 500 and next to 800K revenue?
So I would compare the feeling to, I'm the one that makes these reports for the team, so I'm always on the hunt. But I would compare the feeling to the feeling when I used to open Christmas presents, like during Christmas under the tree, you're unwrapping the present and you see, aha! That's nice. And so far it has not only been socks under the Christmas tree, but cool toys. So the feeling has been exciting and nice, just discovery of, all right, interesting, this is possible. So definitely the appetite sort of, or the capacity to, let's say, it's all relative, right? So when we started, we were operating on a weekly basis. Can we pay our 2 employees their salary? And then we were looking up to some other hi-fi companies in Estonia, they're doing pretty good, but now we're doing twice as good as they are. So, it's the horizon is developing. So that's also another degree of excitement. So, yeah.
But does it still give you this excitement feeling, or is it now more part of the daily job that hey, those numbers?
I think it will, because the growth has been, fast, revenue-wise. So the excitement is definitely still there because the change is big. And the feeling is proportionally as big, but we still have aims set 1 million per quarter. So let's go there first and then see what happens.
Okay, how will you celebrate?
Good question. We haven't actually celebrated these, but that's a good plan. I won't tell you how, but I will consider it a thought to celebrate it. Yeah, because
I think it's worth to celebrate.
True. Yes, noted.
A few years ago, I remember I interviewed your co-founder Daniel, and then he told the story of how you sent out your first 10 degritters, and then you had to call them back because there was this faulty temperature sensor. And Daniel said that it was real hit for the company moral. But how do you, as a company leader, approach that type of situations? If you see that, okay, now the moral is super low, how do you solve that type of situations?
Yes. So I remember the moment you mentioned when we had to call back quite many products from the market. And while it was a stressful situation, then it's like a trigger point that these stressful situations that also trigger action. So that time we were triggered into action of what's the plan? Let's go. We need to be fast, aggressive. All the machines got called back. We fixed the problems and we sent new machines. Customers were happy. And I think, one of the principles that I learned from, I don't know if it is a principle for Rein Lemberpuu, but watching him doing some workshops back in the day in Maker Lab, and I like the way he sort of limited the resources for the teams that were doing some team workshops, like building a Rube Goldberg machine or something like this, playful stuff. And, the resource is limited. That means you need to start thinking, there's some stress to the situation. And for example, and this stress, it makes you think, it puts you in a situation where you need to decide, right? There's no other option. Otherwise, life will decide for you. And, we don't know what's going to happen. So I take these moments, I try to engineer these moments that you asked about into the workflow. So we have checkpoints, like pressure points in the timeline. So presently, next week, we will fly to Munich to attend the world's biggest hi-fi show. And we have today some stuff we're shipping out there. And this is a nice pressure point at present. I think one guy was up all night working. We have some new products we want to show there. And it's nice to see how the team starts working in a new way when you have these deadlines. So now the question is how to set the next deadline for the summer or the autumn, because there is no world's biggest hi-fi show coming on, but that's a task for me, how to create the framework of pressure in a constructive way, and it actually delivers. So that's like a difficult point there for me, maybe.
Mm-hmm. But out of that type of situations, do you take a moment to look what are the learnings? And I mean, besides fix the, I don't know, what was the word, temperature sensor.
Yeah.
Do you go deeper into that type of learnings?
And I'm trying to be honest here. Not always, but sometimes, yes. And as time goes on and I'm growing personally, then I think I'm learning these more and more, although I'm still fighting the old self or the well, it's easy to get carried away in these moments where you start running in your old wheels and just taking the step back or detaching from the moment. So that's the skill that one can have, but that can also be, I feel I can develop more in that regard. I do learn, yes, of course, but it could be more systematic, it could be more, it could be better. Yeah, I think it's important to detach, take time to not have all the fuss around you, like your phone, shut it down, throw it away, your laptop, whatever. Just focus on what is the feeling inside, write it out, think about it. It takes work. Cocoon is a good place for that. For learning about your actions, or what's the sort of cloud of meaning or involved. I think, for example, one of the big things that we've learned as a company in being all the founders in Cocoon this year is seeing our positions not from a founder's perspective or from the perspective of the 3 guys that got together, or 4 guys that got together as friends, and they were building this one thing. And we had issues with fear of letting go, like these positions. So we became inhibitors to our own growth because we were afraid of the unknown. That was a topic here. So Cocoon helped us to see these positions as, what is the function of the team, or what is like, step back and see what is the role actually that, I don't know, my 3 letters of position actually mean. What is it that this person should actually do? So it's a long answer again, but yeah, take time, get rid of distractions, write it out, and talk to a friend.
Mm-hmm. And I think this like taking a step back to see, like a reality check, I would maybe call it, is also a very good point.
Yeah, really good technique, breathing techniques. I use these now regularly. For example, breathe in 4 seconds. 4 heartbeats actually. Hold 4 and breathe out 6. Hold 2. Repeat. Really nice way. For example, when you are in a situation where action is required fast, to detach from the emotional responses. Definitely. Breathing, top notch. Recommended.
In Cocoon team, we see leader as someone who is far from helpless. Like the leader is the person who is essentially like mapping out the unknown. And I imagine when building a product that like doesn't exist, when you're building it, or if you're shipping it like across the globe, then you have to deal quite a lot with the unknown. But how do you keep this helplessness out of the picture? Or how do you not fall into helplessness?
Okay, so the helplessness you mentioned, it's in me definitely, or the victim mentality that somebody is at blame for this or whatever, for this stressful situation or the unknown, but most of the time it's not there. It's present, but the unknown for me personally gives the drive to carry on. It's like, it's what I'm looking for, and that's what I like. I like the unknown. So, and I like mapping the unknown. So, but yeah, I still struggle with the helplessness. But the thing there is to focus on action. So small actions, small steady actions, they will just guide you through the stress and the helplessness. Yeah. And I can apply it presently more in my home context, where we have, I don't know, apartment issues or lots of stuff happening at the same time in my son's life, in my wife's life, and there's a degree of expectation and what is not, and there's stress, and then just execution and action is required like constantly. And if you don't take action, then the helplessness just is like a shadow. It's following you along all the time. So take action.
Yeah, I think this like take action is really good.
And it's actually not so hard to practice this. To have low expectation for one single action, or just like small action, not big.
Yeah.
Like Mount Everest is climbed per base camp. You don't just go, all right, today, starting from here, I don't know, Kathmandu, whatever, boom, I'm gonna go up there. No, it's like base camp 1. Okay, check it out. Let's see what it feels like, right? Okay, pretty good. Base camp 2, not so good. Hit with altitude sickness, boom, take action, go back. And then try again.
If your company purpose should be aligned with your own personal purpose, then how do you see Degritter's purpose? And how do you see it connected with your own? Or do they even, like, how much do they need to be like in sync?
It's a work in progress. And they are in sync, because otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. That's presently what I feel. The cohesion there is not, 100%, but it's not like I'm not walking 180 degrees like away from my path. There are many paths, as we know, to choose from in life. And what is the meaning of my life? Did you just ask that?
These interview questions.
Did you just ask that? How dare you? That's a hard one. So I don't have an answer yet, but I have a feeling for it. There's lots of love involved in this, like giving myself for the team. Like I feel that in my position as a CEO. I like doing that. I like to serve the team. I like doing that.
Yeah, it's like a service to others, but at the same time, this is what gives you energy.
Yes. Yeah, so that's definitely one alignment there. And music as well. Degritter is involved with music, so I'm taking up drums now again. Back in the day, it was a big crevasse in my life to go learn drums or go study physics. And that's how it went. I studied physics, but I also played drums a lot. So now I'm taking that back up to see how maybe it will help Degritter as well in my context, to bring it more to my musical side. Okay.
That's very good. When I was doing a bit like research about the previous interviews Degritter has had, then a lot of them end with like future question, like how do you see yourself in 5 years and stuff like this. But I was rather wondering just how are you today? What is your biggest challenge at the moment, and how are you approaching this?
Making decisions. Yeah, it's like making some decisions is easy, but making the difficult ones is not. They are like how it's. There's a nice saying there. They're simple but not easy, right? So So, for example, with questions related to how this team is structured, what are the dreams of the founders, like what do I want to do, and how to let go of the fear that we had 1.5 years ago, because some of it is still present, and how to step out of that fear of not holding on, but letting go, and welcoming the unknown. I think that's like a source of difficulty for me. Yeah.
Okay. But how much do you see Cocoon program, or like being in Cocoon, has affected the way you work, or how much it has affected your company?
So I see definitely how I have changed. I take more responsibility for my actions. I have a greater capacity for detaching. I wasn't really doing, for example, when talking about breathing techniques, then I wasn't doing any of that like 2 years ago. Well, maybe singing in the choir, yeah, okay. But my mentor Alexander taught me the first breathing technique. It was breathe in 2 seconds, let out, breathe in 3 seconds, and I think it was something like that. So I started applying that. So anyways, detaching. So it has helped me to detach and see from my emotional responses and bring me closer to my feelings, and to see what is actually happening. And it has also helped me get rid of some blocks in my life. I started crying again, which was a big milestone, check. I mean, I'm not crying all the time, but just have the capacity to trust your feeling. For example, claiming my wins, definitely, and claiming leadership. So this has personally been a goal, like a issue for me in my previous ventures as well. And so I claimed the CEO position in the company, and it definitely, I feel, sort of aligned. Something clicked in place for the whole company, and things started. There was a new vibe. So, hell yes.
Very good. Thank you so much for the interview, Uku.
Thank you, Rin, for inviting me, and I hope there is learning in this for others too.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.